Yep, that's Max. And you're probably wondering how he ended up in this situation. Well, it all started when Jos met Sophie, and they had 2 kids named Max and Victoria. Verstappen's parents separated when he was young, after which he lived with his father while his sister Victoria lived with their mother. Max started karting at a young age, travelling with his father Jos to races. He first took part in the Mini Junior Championship of Limburg in 2006. Verstappen graduated to the Rotax Max Mini Max class and won the Belgian Championship. In 2007, Verstappen won the Dutch Mini Max Championship, racing in a C or G car entered by his father. Verstappen then went on to win the Dutch and Belgian Minimax Championships, as well as the Belgian Cadet Championship. In 2009, Verstappen joined Team Pex Racing, a C or G customer team. That year, he won the Flemish Minimax Championship and the Belgian KF5 Championship. Verstappen stepped up to international karting in 2010. He was signed by CRG to race in their factory team at the World and European Championships. At the KF3 World Cup, Verstappen finished second to the more experienced Alexander Albon. Funny how the world works, huh? In 2012, Verstappen entered the Intrepid Driver Programme to race in the KF2 and KZ2 classes. He won the WSK Master Series in the KF2 class, beating CRG driver Felice Tien. Verstappen won the South Garda Winter Cup in the KF2 class, beating Dennis Olsen and Antonio Fuoco. Verstappen's first experience in a racing car was at the Pembrey circuit on October 2013. He drove 160 laps in a Barazzi Epsilon F4 2.0 10 Formula Renault car. It wouldn't be until 2014, however, where it was announced Verstappen would make his racing debut in the non-championship Florida Winter Series. On February 5th, at the second race weekend, Verstappen won the race at Palm Beach International Raceway after he started from pole. A few weeks later, Verstappen won his second race of the series at Homestead Miami Speedway after beating Nicholas Latifi by 0.004 seconds. Following his single-seater debut in the inaugural Florida Winter Series, Verstappen drove in the FIA European Formula 3 Championship for Van Amersfoort Racing. At age 16, Verstappen scored a record 6 consecutive victories in the series and a record 10 victories in total, along with 8 retirements and 1 DNS. He placed third in the overall standings, a championship won by French driver Esteban Ocon. Verstappen first got his hands on a Formula 1 car during the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix weekend, where he replaced Jean-Eric Vergne for free practice 1. At age 17 years and 3 days, Verstappen became the youngest man ever to compete in an official Formula 1 F1 session. Verstappen joined Toro Rosso for the 2015 season, alongside Carlos Sainz Jr. In his first race, Verstappen ran in the point-scoring positions until he was forced to retire due to an engine failure. However, at the subsequent race in Malaysia, Verstappen qualified 6th and finished the race in 7th place, scoring his first Formula 1 points aged 17 years, 180 days, breaking the record of the then youngest driver to score World Championship points. Verstappen and Sainz would both stand out that season. Verstappen continued to regularly finish in the points, as well as achieving his best finish of the 2015 season in Hungary by finishing 4th, and equaling this result at the United States Grand Prix in Texas. At the end of the season, Verstappen received 3 awards at the FIA prize-giving ceremony for Rookie of the Year, Personality of the Year and Action of the Year for his overtake on Felipe Nasser on the outside of Blanchimont corner at the Belgian Grand Prix. Verstappen began the 2016 season at Toro Rosso alongside Sainz. Verstappen qualified for 5th for the opening race of the season in Australia, but during the race made several radio calls to his team due to frustration at being behind Sainz on track before Verstappen's Toro Rosso came into contact with his teammate's car and was attempting to pass him with 3 laps to go, and he eventually finished in 10th. Verstappen enjoyed a more successful weekend at the following race in Bahrain, finishing 6th to score Toro Rosso's first ever points at the Sakir circuit. Meanwhile, this was the situation at the senior team, Red Bull.
Kimi Raikkonen and Felipe Massa. Danny Ricciardo cuts off Sebastian Vettel, who's already gained a place on Sergio Perez as they race now down towards turn 2 and the first braking zone. It's Rosberg in the lead. Raikkonen on the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Raikkonen takes second place and there's contact in the back. And it's the two Red Bulls that are getting tangled up. Danny Kvyat and Danny Ricciardo, and I think it's maybe Ricciardo that came off worse. And there's a spin. There is a spinning Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel and he is out at the first corner and the first braking zone of this Russian Grand Prix, and he throws his hands up in the air and thinks, no, not again. Hulkenberg out, Vettel out, and we think that it's Danny Kvyat was the man that hit Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, he got in really hot and then almost made contact then with what would have been Daniel Ricciardo as well. So it was Kvyat confirmed running into the back of the Ferrari.
Danny Kvyat hit Sebastian Vettel twice, and that coming after the Chinese Grand Prix incident as well. And we're going to expect to see more words being spoken between those two drivers.
I think it's clear whose fault it was this time, though. Oh, for f***'s sake, man! Who the f***? Oh, I'm out! Crash! Somebody hit me in the rear, turn 2, and then somebody hit me in the rear again in turn 3. For f***'s sake! Honestly, what the f*** are we doing here? Off, honestly. Honestly, what are these guys thinking? Now you can tell he's already got a puncture. So he turns into a right rear puncture. Oh, he's ran again.
Contact, check my front wing, please. What the f*** is going on? Okay, I think it's a front wing on, guys. I need... Check the load.
Box and confirm, please, mate. Box and confirm.
Okay.
On the 5th of May 2016, following the Russian Grand Prix, Red Bull Racing announced that Max Verstappen would be replacing Daniel Kvyat from the Spanish Grand Prix onwards, with Kvyat returning to Toro Rosso. According to Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, Max has proven to be an outstanding young talent. His performance at Toro Rosso has been impressive so far, and we are pleased to give him the opportunity to drive for Red Bull Racing. It was a Mercedes front row lockout in Max's first race in Spain. Rosberg ahead of Hamilton. At the start, Nico Rosberg got around the outside of Hamilton in turn 1, while Raikkonen lost positions due to a slow getaway. Sebastian Vettel got past Verstappen, but was immediately repassed on the approach to turn 4. At the front of the race, coming out of turn 3, Hamilton tried to retake the position from Nico Rosberg.
3 we go, and it's Nico Rosberg and Hamilton's onto the grass, and Hamilton's had a massive crash, and he's crashed into his teammate. The two Mercedes come together as Hamilton tried to pass on the inside, and he can cover his hands over his eyes, and he won't want to see that again. We have the safety car out here, but the two silver arrows have crashed on the opening lap. Hamilton takes out his teammates, and there will be a big inquiry. We're on the final lap though, as Ricciardo gets in for his pit stop. We're on the last lap, and it's Max Verstappen who is on his way to displacing Sebastian Vettel as the holder of the youngest winner in Formula One at Monaco. He's a man who has had to cope with running these tyres from lap 34.
All he's got to do is be down the back straight now with DRS for the Ferrari, the rear wing open. He clears that, he's home and dry. He has. Oh, he's got a little deep in there, a little lock up, but there's nowhere to overtake now in the end, towards the end of the lap. Absolutely nowhere to overtake. Just
keeping calm. Extraordinary drive from this teenager.
His dad, Jos Verstappen, stood on the podium twice in 1994, but he never stood on the top step of the podium. And this afternoon at the Circuit de Catalunya, the sun is out, the smiles will be out. At 18 years and 227 days old, Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix, wins the Spanish Grand Prix, and is the youngest driver ever to win a Formula One World Championship Grand Prix. He is the 10th different winner of this race in the last 10 years. And at the tender age of 18, he can go out and party like he's never partied before in this Spanish city tonight.
In the Grand Prix, Max Verstappen broke several records. Apart from being the youngest ever driver to win a race at 18 years and 228 days, he was also the youngest to stand on a Formula 1 podium, in both instances breaking Sebastian Vettel's record set at the 2008 Italian Grand Prix by more than 2 years. Vettel had been 21 years and 2 months at the time. Verstappen also became the youngest driver to lead at least one lap of a Grand Prix, again overcoming a record set by Vettel at the 2007 Japanese Grand Prix. Verstappen also was the first driver born in the 1990s to win a Formula 1 race. Verstappen was tested to show the Formula 1 world his natural talent and ability in a pressure scenario, and he passed with flying colours. The Dutchman went on to be quite successful as a racing driver, but that is a story for another day.